packages them, Sal.
And I bet
we're finally doing Ultimate Spider-Man. We'll see how long it takes to get... Yeah, we do it every...
We're finally doing it again.
Every so often we will jump in.
I was sick of for a couple of episodes.
Yeah, you missed a couple. It was weird. It doesn't matter. Volume 4, things get ramped up into high gear. It's what was it? The last volume, Spider-Man fought Doc Ock and Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah.
And it was his first success, like his first serious victory. He did fight Norman Osborn, aka Ultimate Hulk. Basically, he takes Oz, which is the formula he developed that was also the catalyst for his Ultimate Spider-Man powers.
And he hulks out.
Yeah.
He gets big,
and he can also turn on fire.
Oh yeah, that dumb fireball shit.
Yeah, and he wore a weird purple cape, and he fought Spider-Man on the bridge, and an Apache helicopter shot him a whole bunch of times, and he fell in the river.
Yeah.
Well, he comes back in this.
Oh, you mean he's not dead?
No, believe it or not, Spider-Man's most #1 villain is actually not dead after the first volume.
That's what Doc Ock is like. I believe I am his #1 villain.
Well, that's the thing. For me, Kingpin is Spider-Man's #1 villain, and then Norman Osborn would always fucking show up. And be like, excuse me, but I am the #1 villain around these parts. And I'm like,
I have pumpkin bombs and a glider. I am incredibly distinct.
He has neither of those in Ultimate Spider-Man. Those are all biologically incorporated. He can jump really far, and he can conjure fireballs that are orange. It's not.
Are they shaped like pumpkins?
No.
Do they have little
faces
on them?
No, they do not. They are fire.
I guess the pumpkin bombs probably didn't have faces on them.
No, they did.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're jack-o'-lanterns.
Okay.
They're jack-o'-lanterns.
All right. So it's
just like a goblin.
Right. Like a goblin.
No, that's a jackass.
The theming of Green Goblin is very weird. I'm a goblin, and you can tell by my purse, my jack-o'-lantern bombs, the glider that has a vaguely demonic head on the front, and my long, pointy purple hat.
Oh, your sleepy time cap.
Right. You have more in common with Sandman, the Dream Maker, than you have with, a demonic goblin creature.
Like Mr. Sandman, the song from the 40s.
Yes, I'm not talking about Sandman, the bad guy from Spider-Man.
Or Neil Gaiman's.
Of the same name, or Neil Gaiman's Sandman.
You're forgetting about my face.
Oh, yeah.
My hideous goblin face.
It's a goblin. That much I'll give you. I'll grant you look like a goblin. And that's the closest thing we get for Ultimate Green Goblin is he turns into a goblin.
Yeah, that's his actual face.
Yes.
Not a mask.
No, it's not. Because the whole thing of Ultimate Spider-Man is that it's genetics as opposed to the atomic age.
Right.
But in this, Oscorp was one of the subcontractors of the U.S. government that was in development of a replacement for the Super Soldier Serum.
Yeah.
So anyway, Spider-Man has the first major victory over the Doc Ock.
Right.
And it's on TV, and he gets to see power and responsibility and everything. And so he's riding high. Also, he and Mary Jane are kind of dating now.
Oh.
It's for real.
Oh,
yeah,
for real.
It's happening.
Wasn't there some kind of tension with that in the last volume?
Yes, because Gwen Stacy came on the scene.
That's right.
And Mary Jane is really uncomfortably jealous of Peter's interest in her. By the way, Peter's interest in her is there's a new chick who threatened to kill my greatest bully. So, I don't think she's someone I should hang out with. But, kudos.
That was cool of her.
And
Mary
that's
Jane
really
goes,
it.
Hey!
Yeah, and she's like, whoa!
I
am 14! And this is super serial, this relationship. And so it's, completely accurate as to how these people react to each other. Because, Peter in this volume finds out that, that Mary Jane is in love with him. And he's like, oh my god, we're going to get married. And I'm like, of course you are. Because when the girl that I was dating in high school told me that she was in love with me, I was like, yep. And that is that. I am set for life. A woman thinks I'm interesting enough to say that she loves me, and so we are going to get married, and it's forever. Thank God.
That
happened. And that's, by the way, a source of contention for me on Ultimate Spider-Man, because if you can believe it, Peter and Mary Jane break up and get back together a couple times throughout the series.
Wow, what?
Like no teenage couple would. And
yeah, that's unbelievable. Yeah.
Peter winds up going out with other people. But Mary Jane never goes out with anybody.
What?
She goes out with one guy, and he kisses her in a car.
Oh.
And then she's like, I can't. I am in love with Peter. And she is in love with him until the universe ends. The other thing to remember about this volume is when Peter got home from defeating Doc Ock, Aunt May discovered that he had snuck out, and he couldn't come up with a good enough excuse as to why he wasn't there.
And she was just like, if you're just going to lie to me...
You're grounded.
Yeah.
So he's talking to Mary Jane, and Mary Jane's like, so, like, I'll meet you at your place, like, a little later, we can make out. And he's like, I can't make out with you. I have to go home. And she's like, well, then, like, we'll just lie and say that we're going to do it. Like, she's coming up with all the things.
Yeah.
The scheme.
And by the way, like, it's a comic book that was marketed for children, but they're acting like children as well. That's something I always really appreciate. It's almost Doug. Because Doug, for me, was like, hey, you're almost teenagers.
Right. That's almost real.
It's almost real, but then it's a little too wholesome.
Yeah.
It's a little too... They don't cross the line. You know? But with this, they kind of do. You know? She doesn't blow him or anything. But she does, like, they do lie, and they get away with it sometimes.
Right.
You know, they lie to their parents, and they get away with it.
Yeah.
Which is something that you can't tell teenagers you can actually do.
Right.
You don't want to advocate that that's an accomplishable goal. Hey, you can do bad things, and then tell your parents you didn't do that bad thing, and sometimes they'll fucking believe you, and then you can keep doing that bad thing. Like, this is... that's like a testament to the strength of this book, I think.
Rather than good always prevails.
Right, like, they always find out, your authority figures always find out you did the wrong thing, you always learn the lesson, and you're always punished for doing the wrong thing. No.
And then you hug at the end, and then the audience laughs and claps, and you fade out and roll the credits.
Yeah. Norman Osborn became the Green Goblin for the first time. He killed his wife, and Harry, his son, was caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, and, like, said my dad is a monster.
Yeah, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. took him away, and he went away forever. Well, Harry's back. And he is back in the care of his father, and he's going back to school at Midtown High with Pete and Mary Jane.
So they worked
He's
it
living
out.
with his dad?
Yeah.
And I assume S.H.I.E.L.D. set this up.
S.H.I.E.L.D. screwed this up. And we'll get into it. But so Harry's back, and he's like, hey guys, I'm back. And he meets Gwen, and he's like, that chick is cool. And you're like, oh, we're going to pair off now. Pete and Mary Jane get together. Harry and Gwen, which is kind of a flip the script moment for the original continuity when Harry and MJ used to date, and Pete and Gwen went out.
Okay.
So they dedicate 2 full pages to gay baiting Flash Thompson, and then we get into the plot. Harry says, like, he's back, and he's like, Pete, my dad really wants to see you. So come over to my house tonight, and, like, we'll study, and you can talk to my dad. And Pete's like, fuck.
And Norman Osborn knew that Parker was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because he went like, Parker.
Yeah, he knows who he is, and he also has all the video from the class trip that Peter took where the spider bit him.
Right.
Wait, my dad Isn't he just a permanent goblin man?
No, he can transform. He figured out... What was revealed later is he resolved the Goblin formula, the Oz formula.
You mean by being shot by a helicopter?
Well, he escaped, and then he, like, worked back at the lab and fixed it.
As a goblin? So it's like a goblin, like...
He can revert. He can go back and forth.
Okay.
Now we can.
I assumed that he could before, but he can now.
Just did.
Yeah.
In the previous issue.
So Harry's going to go talk to his therapist, who's actually under the employ of Norman Osborn, and I think is Miles Warren, the ultimate version of the Jackal.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really do anything or come into play until later, so we won't get into Miles Warren. But the fact is, he has a therapist who Norman Osborn hired and is giving him hypnosis and trigger words to something we'll find out later.
Okay.
But the fact is, that's what's going on with Harry. And that's why Harry thinks everything's fine and
so he's being hypnotized.
Yeah, or something.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Harry's going to go talk to his therapist, and he's like, you can talk to my dad. He's in the office.
He goes alone in the office.
Yeah, so he goes into he goes into Norman's creepy office, which, by the way, has, like, a big shark tank in it.
Yeah.
With sharks you cannot achieve, no matter what kind of business mogul you are. They're great whites, of course.
That tank is way too small for those sharks.
Oh, I agree.
Look at that. That shark is like 2/3 the length of the
I
tank.
assume that it goes up.
Oh.
I don't understand why they keep dying, but I'm not going to build a bigger tank.
Yeah, but fuck it. Pete goes into this weird office, and Norman just plays video clips on, like, his big TV behind his desk, and it's, like, of Spider-Man pantsing Doc Ock, and then it's of Peter getting bitten by the spider, and he's like, I love the part where you pants Doc Ock. That's my favorite moment from him, honestly. And he goes, oh, by the way, I hope you got this whole Spider-Man thing out of your system, because it's over. I own you. You're mine.
I created you.
I created you, therefore you're mine.
I brought you into this world, and I can take you out of it!
It's basically that.
So what does he think that's going to achieve?
Well, for him, he's
like, yeah, okay, you owe me.
Yeah, right? That's what he thinks, because he's that kind of person.
Like, I'll do whatever you want kind of thing?
Yes.
Or just
You're an
stop
agent.
being Spider-Man?
It's both. It's
work for me.
It's, if you don't do what I ask, I will destroy you. End your life. And one thing I don't want you to do anymore is be Spider-Man, because it's kind of pathetic and garish. You get godlike powers. Norman Osborn thinks they're godlike powers, because I guess to a jackass being able to swing around the city.
They come from the Spider-God, so they are godlike.
Not in this universe! Even mutants come from man in the Ultimate Universe.
Oh.
By the way, it's a creepy scene. I like it a lot because you're 15 years old. All you want to do is the right thing and make out with your girlfriend and go to school. That's all you want to do. And then this
If
jackass...
you take out the right thing and just make out with your girlfriend,
then you're 15.
Then you have it.
Well, but you're also Spider-Man, so you have this compulsion to do the right thing. But he all he wants to do is just be a regular person. And then this billionaire monster tells you...
Tons of power and influence.
Yep.
Not even the genetic kind, just the kind that he gets from his position in life.
Yeah.
Right.
And he tells you, your life is over, you work for me, like, you... I remember being told as a teenager that, like, my test was pushed back, you know, or accelerated. I gotta have it next week instead of next month. And I remember thinking my world was over. So being told that you can't be Spider-Man anymore, but not only that, but, like, I know you are Spider-Man, I'll ruin your life, and I'm a dick anyway, and so you're obviously gonna be doing dick things for me. Like, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And Peter has that kind of reaction where he, like, doesn't even know what to do or say. And then Norman unveils his newest version of Oz. And he injects himself with it, and then he transforms into a more stable version of the Green Goblin.
Okay.
So he can talk, can interact like a normal person, kind of. And...
What do you mean, kind of?
we'll establish that him being Green Goblin makes him really insane.
Okay.
By the way, when he became the Goblin, he ripped all of his clothes. He reverts back to Osborn, and then he picks up a conveniently placed robe and he puts it on. So then, like, they come out of the office, and Harry's like, Dad, why are you wearing a robe? He's like, I took a sauna before I talked to Parker. And he goes, you and your saunas, Dad.
Always taking saunas.
Always taking saunas. It was amazing. I love that because it must be like, he's always been Green Goblin. He's been Green Goblin all the time.
Right.
And he's like, well, it worked the first time. Might as well work the next 10 times.
Yeah, he just keeps testing it out.
Yeah. And he'll believe that I just keep taking a steam.
Because I'm hypnotizing my son.
Yeah. But then they unveil that basically Osborn used his money and influence to create a cover story about, like, where Norman Osborn went, what happened in the fire, why his mom's dead, all this shit. Showing that their power and influence is absolutely...
He made it go away.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have to be a supervillain. I just had to use my money.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I can do anything. Doesn't
Even
matter
without
how
Goblin
exposed I
powers.
become. I can
Kingpin just goes,
make it go away.
Bravo! Yeah. See, that's why I like Kingpin, because Kingpin is just that. He has no fucking power.
Right.
He's just
Although
a fat
he's massive.
asshole. He is
He's
big.
really big.
He's really big, and he can
inhumanly
take a
large.
punch. But...
His arm is as big as Peter Parker's torso. Yeah.
But he has no patience for Peter and his shit. Norman Osborn has this weird, like, almost pseudo-religious connection with Peter Parker, where he's like, no, you don't understand, I made you! Like, I'm your father! Like, that kind of thing. And you're like, holy shit!
it's kind of Joker Batman.
You're not
A
that.
little bit. It's more...
Where Joker's like, I'm your opposite.
I mean, I guess.
He has, he
Joker...
has a creepy connection to him
no.
that he takes way too far.
Right. It's like that in that
sense.
regard, but Osborn is way more direct and literal about it. Like, we share the same genetic material.
Like, you're a piece of me.
Yeah. It's more like that creepy scene in Vanilla Sky.
I
Remember
never
Vanilla
saw
Sky?
Vanilla Sky. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Never mind. I was gonna say the scene where Cameron Diaz is driving and Tom Cruise in the car, and she's freaking out, and she's like, "I swallowed your cum. That means something." And you're like, "Oh God."
Oh no.
That, my dear, was a mistake. That's not going in the episode. So they meet up with Harry, and then Peter's like, "I gotta get out of here," so he just leaves.
Right.
And Harry's like, "Fuck, I thought we were gonna."
That was weird.
That's fucking weird.
That was weird, Dad.
Come out of a room with my
No, he
dad
didn't
and go to the
say.
bathroom.
He doesn't
Don't
make
hit
that.
on my friend.
Yeah, did you try to bang Peter and then he rebuffed your advances? So Peter goes home and he's talking to Aunt May, and Aunt May is like, like Peter doesn't know what to do or how to handle it, and like don't forget that like the run of Ultimate Spider-Man is maybe like a year. So Uncle Ben died like 2 weeks ago,
Right.
So he's still mourning.
He's still dealing
but
with
he's
it.
like he's just freaking out, and he's like Aunt May, I don't know what to do, and she's like it's okay. Like she just takes him in and holds him.
It's okay. You're still grounded though.
Yeah, no. When Norman sent the limo to Peter's to like pick him up, Aunt May's like, "Go, get in the limo." Like, go ahead. And he's like, "Aren't we grounded?" And he's like, "Nah." She's like, "Just get in the limo. Your friend's home. You know, the people with money want you to like do something. Just knock yourself out. Like, have a good time. Like, I'm not gonna rob you of this fun experience just because
not
like
every day you get to ride in a limo.
bingo. See, that's the thing. Like, and that's
just
where they
cool.
come from, which I really like. So Peter's in his like little apartment in the house in Forest Hills. He has like a little like apartment bedroom.
Yeah.
And he's down there. He's talking to Mary Jane, and Mary Jane is like, "I'll come over." Like, and he's like, "No, like I don't want to hurt like Aunt May. I don't know if I'm not really grounded anymore." And then he gets
Look,
a
you
knock.
can come over if you bring a limo.
Right.
Pretend to be Harry.
So he gets a knock on the cellar door, and when he opens it up, it's Gwen.
Oh.
And Gwen's like, "Can
She
I
knows
come
where
in?"
he lives?
Yeah. And she's like, "Can I come in?" He's like, and she goes, "Well, then can I kill myself on your front lawn then?" And he's like, And then he just runs upstairs and he's like, "Aunt May, there's a girl in my basement." And she's like, "Mary Jane's not supposed to be over here." He's like, "It's not Mary Jane." She's like, "Whoa." And he's like, "No, it's not like that." Well done. Never mind. Go back down there. No. So he tells the whole thing. He's like, "Aunt May, there's this girl. She's from school. I think she's crazy, but she's upset, and I don't know what she's gonna do." And Aunt May's like, "Get your pants on," because it was boxers.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'll take care of this." And she makes pancakes for her, and like listens to her story. And the fact is, Gwen is going through like her parents are going through a divorce.
Okay.
And so she ran away from home. She had a really hard time, and she didn't know where to go. She has no fucking friends. And the only person that she has any connection with is Peter Parker. So she goes to Peter's place to like, I don't know. She has no idea why she really did that.
Right.
But she's there.
She found herself there, I guess.
Yeah. So she gets there. Aunt May and she like powwow a little bit, and that's when Gwen's dad shows up, who's Captain George Stacy of the New York Police Department, and he's like, "Thank you so much for like finding my daughter and keeping her here in a safe place." And it's this cute little scene where like Captain Stacy and Aunt May kind of connect a little bit.
Okay.
They're like, "Oh,
interesting.
like yeah, he's getting
He's
divorced.
divorced.
She's a
Oh.
widower." So
Is she not as decrepitly old? In
no,
this one?
they're Bagley's refining his design for Aunt May and making her a little bit less of like an older person.
Yeah.
Of, like she's in her like 50s.
Yeah.
So it's more
Early 50s, maybe.
it's more sweet
Yeah.
than weird.
Yeah, it's more like companionship. Like
No, it's a relationship. Like
Well, they bang later.
we,
Spoilers.
we're hoping that maybe they might get together.
yeah, but like right now, it's just
Right now,
like,
it's just it's two people who one's losing someone, one's lost
someone. Yeah.
So you're like, that's cool. And then, and by the way, Peter hung up with Mary Jane while he was on the phone with her when Gwen showed up.
Right, because he didn't know how to explain it.
Nope.
It's like, I
Mary
gotta
Jane,
go.
Gwen's
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh." So then he's explaining to Mary Jane what's happening, and that's when Gwen like jumps up from behind her and like she's like, "There's my hero! Like you saved me. I was all alone and upset, and then your aunt is so amazing. Like I don't have any women in my life who are so sweet and caring like your aunt. Like you guys are he's like, "You are not helping me."
And then MJ just turns into a nuclear explosion.
But then Pete leaves, and Gwen says to Mary Jane, she's like, "Hold on to this boy, because he is great." Mary Jane's like, "Ooh, I don't like that. You recognize how great he is."
Yeah.
You know,
You
like,
want him.
yeah. Oh yeah, and later she's like, "I'm not stupid, Peter. I know that she's in love with you." And Peter's like, "Let's back up the truck a little bit."
Yeah.
So Pete gets called in to have like a counseling meeting with this like really weird character that was from an earlier volume, and then it turns out like she's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and Nick Fury wants to talk to Peter. So Nick Fury decloaks, and he's like, "What up?" And this is where you're like, "Hey, Nick Fury, it's Samuel L. Jackson."
Yay!
And he's like, "So listen, Norman Osborn, he's a Goblin man. He talked to you. You went to his place. Did he order you to kill me?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, well, he will. And here's why." And then he explains that Oscorp was a company that was hired by S.H.I.E.L.D. to try and develop the super soldier serum.
Right.
And they went through like breakthrough after breakthrough, and they got the contract, and it turned out like Osborn's a shitty scientist who just lied. Like he said he's Enron, like you said. Like he lied about the figures and the facts. And he just jumped to human testing, and like he has like bodies buried everywhere. Like he's a sloppy, shitty businessman and a bad scientist.
Or, he just has a lot of drive, and he won't let failure bring him down.
Yeah, I mean that's what Norman Osborn would say. But
if you're a lunatic, yeah.
But Fury's like, no, he's an asshole, and he experimented on himself, and he turned himself into a monster, which ain't no super soldier.
Right.
And also, I think
not even what we fucking asked for, and he broke every rule to do it.
Yeah.
You think we would have won WW2 with a Goblin Man?
I mean, maybe, but like, it would have. Then we would have had Goblin Men to deal with.
Right, and we would have looked as
as heroic.
It would have been
more if we had an army of monsters. Yeah.
What? Oh, no, I'll take the Nazis.
At least I can fucking look at them.
And not throwing fireballs they conjure from their own genetic material. So Nick's like, listen, I can't do anything about it because he technically hasn't broken the law yet. Because you can experiment on yourself. Turning yourself into a goblin is not technically against the law yet.
How is that not?
Well, there's no law specifically about that because no one knew you could even fucking do that.
Exactly.
No, but human testing, period.
Well, you could cut your own hand off. I don't think there's any law against that.
And within the company he's maybe referring to, like the fact that like...
I just mean you can alter yourself.
Yeah,
there's
you
no
can
law
alter
against
yourself.
altering your own body.
But doing it on the government's dime probably is a problem.
He probably broke his contract.
Yeah.
Some way, I would guess.
So anyway...
So it's a black off-the-books contract, I'm sure. So it's like...
No, yeah, exactly.
Also, he'll reveal the program.
He can't prove that he did all that anyway without revealing that like S.H.I.E.L.D.'s been working on super soldiers, which he's not allowed to do anyway.
Right.
So he's like, listen... no, the fact is, like, I'm here to tell you that, like, you're on your own, really. And Pete's like, oh, wow, well, that's really helpful, thanks.
Yeah. Also, don't try to kill me.
But we can't actually jump in until he actually does something.
Okay.
So, don't kill me, but kind of, like, try to get him to really, like, try to get him out.
Goad him.
Yeah.
Whoa. What is Nick Fury's plan here? He's gonna, like, when Green Goblin tells Peter Parker...
Yeah.
AKA Spider-Man to kill him. And be like, oh, now we've got him. Now you can go to court.
No.
And you can testify.
Oh, no, that's not it.
No,
he's like, just don't do that. But if you don't do that, it will make him angry and he'll turn into a Goblin Man and then he'll come outside.
Oh.
And then we can, like, arrest
You're
him.
going to lure him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like, once he breaks the law,
Yeah.
then it's up to the courts and we can put him behind bars.
That's the thing is that, like, Fury is uncharacteristically obsessed with following this weird protocol.
Right.
When he has no regard for it throughout the series.
Right.
But when we started out, it's just establishing that
we gotta go by the book.
We gotta go by the book. And Peter is kind of like... His fears are not assuaged.
Right.
Not only that, but... Not only does Norman Osborn know that he's Spider-Man, now Nick Fury and all of S.H.I.E.L.D. knows it's like,
yes.
my secret's out to everybody.
Well, yeah,
Everybody
but
knows
it's a
that's
Black
Spider-Man.
Ops secret team. Yeah. Like they have their own secrets. Peter's a secret. And actually, Fury's like, listen, we got a file on you. You should be impressed.
It's pretty sweet, huh?
Yeah.
We don't have a file on many people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't have a file on a lot of people. Like, you should be kind of like, flattered.
If we have a file on you, that means you've made it.
Yes.
I mean, granted, we have a file on the Green Goblin. He hasn't made it. He's an asshole.
He's
Right.
a target.
We have a different.
It's a different file.
Yeah, you're in a different.
When I say file, it's a different connotation.
It's the good filing system.
Yeah,
he's in the
and
bad
he's in
filing
the
system. Just trust me on that one.
It's like a list that Santa has.
Yeah. Pete goes home, and when he gets there, there's a limo waiting for him, and Aunt May's like, "You can go," and he's like, "No, I don't want to go."
You can't look. I'll let you go one more time, but you can't use the limo thing every time you want to get out of getting grounded.
Norman invites Peter and Aunt May,
and
he's like, "Aunt May, do not get in this limo."
Right.
And he's like, "Norman Osborn is not a good guy. I can't get into it right now, but just do not do this."
Peter, do you know how many times I've ridden in a limo in my life?
No, Aunt May's totally
I'm
on
getting
board.
in this limo.
Yes, clearly Aunt May has a thing for limos, but she puts that aside for her nephew. And
she pops the champagne. She starts hanging out the sunroof.
Yeah.
Woo!
Pete doesn't know really what he's gonna do, so he gets into his Spider-Man costume and he swings around, and that's when he bumps into Green Goblin.
And he's wearing wearing the cloak thing.
He's wearing his
a little
cloak.
more like
it's
the
like
Green
a bed
Goblin.
sheet.
It is really just a big purple sheet. But anyway, so he's like, Peter, like, I own you and you're mine, and Spider-Man's like,
I own you.
Yeah, and he's like, oh my god. And he really has a reaction where he's like, you crazy junkie jackass, like, fuck you. And you're like, Fury told me all about you. You're not even, like, that good a scientist, and you're a terrible businessman. Like, fuck you. And the horse you're went on. And then Goblin's like, you're not going to do what I want? And he's like, no, I'm not going to do what you want. Fuck off. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. And so, because Osborn's been manipulating this whole thing, there was a limo that that was going to go pick up Aunt May and Peter. Mm-hmm. There was a limo that already picked up Mary Jane and brought her to the Osborn apartment. And so Goblin bails and then picks up Mary Jane and takes her to the bridge.
Oh, shit.
You know, the Gwen Stacy bridge.
Right, yeah.
So he takes her up there, and Spider-Man's like, fuck. He doesn't know the other continuity where Gwen Stacy dies there, but
But
we
it's
do.
not good for his girlfriend to be on a bridge with a goblin.
It's true. And I love it because this is the series that's playing with conventions.
Right.
Goblin, girl, bridge. Different girl, but maybe same result.
Yeah.
Crazy shit. And you're like, oh no. And remember...
You've gone through this, and you're afraid to be hurt again.
This is, as a reader, I remember when this was coming out, people were like, holy fucking shit. It's happening.
Like, they're gonna kill Mary Jane.
They're gonna kill Mary Jane. Oh my god! And I was like, that's kind of cool. I like that level of excitement in a mainstream comic these days. So he takes her on the bridge. There's a little flashback where we see the conversation between Goblin and Spider-Man from Goblin's perspective, and he has all these voices around his head that are like, you're the best, kiss him, tell him about the circles, don't tell him anything. Like, it's just...
What the fuck?
And then Spider-Man's, like, turning into a Spider-Man, like, with, like, weird eyes and everything. And you're seeing into Osborn's head.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he is crazy. And, like, so when Peter doesn't agree with him, he's arguing with, like, 16 different voices. And they're all arguing with him.
And he's trying to pick out, like, what to say.
Yeah, and he's trying to have a conversation. There's voices in his head, like, saying all kinds of shit. So yeah, he's like, what do I want to... And so occasionally he'll, like, grab something that they said and say that instead. And you're like, oh, that's kind of a neat illustration of madness.
Yeah.
And
One of them
really
says,
cool.
you're a god, you are death.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
That would make most people pretty crazy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I love it. It's a cool interpretation of Osborn being crazy. Which is really neat.
Yeah.
So Osborn takes Mary Jane up to the bridge, and he's like, you gotta do what I want, man. It's back and forth. You gotta do what I want. Throw girl. And then we have the scene where Peter... He throws Mary Jane off the bridge.
Oh, shit.
So Pete jumps off the bridge. He webs her with his web line. He pulls her up. He grabs her. He jumps across traffic. He holds her. He says, Mary Jane. And there's no response. And the last page reveal is him just holding her in total darkness.
Whoa.
Then the next issue starts. And the next issue, she wakes up.
Yeah.
Okay.
She fainted on the way down.
I assume so.
Yeah, because you didn't get the snap.
You didn't get the snap! Onomatopoeia, yeah.
Well, it's also because he webbed her foot this time and not whatever he webbed
her
last
foot
time.
before, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was her foot.
I thought he webbed like her
back
midsection.
No, he webs her foot, and like so she just ragdolls.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He just does it better this time.
He just does it better this time.
You mean he doesn't shoot a web and it turns into a little hand to try and grab her?
No. Thankfully, he does not do that.
No.
Because that would be dumb.
Well, thankfully, that's never happened. Osborn threw a girl off a bridge. Nick Fury's like, okay!
Oh, we got it!
This is our smoking gun! Open fires! This like cloaked chopper just opened fires on Goblin.
Oh, shit.
And he's like, and then he conjures his fire pumpkin bombs and he throws them at him. And so, what's it called? So the Apache's like shooting at Osborn. Osborn like throws bombs at the thing. And Spider-Man's like, okay. And he puts Mary Jane in a taxi cab, sends her home. And he's like, okay, I got a plan here. And he just launches himself at Osborn and just starts wailing on him. And Fury's like, situation report, what's going on? He's like, he's beating the shit out of him. And he's like, who? He's like, Spider-Man. He's kicking the crap out of Goblin. And Fury's like, nice job, kid.
I like that from a helicopter pilot. Like, holy crap!
He's just watching a cool fight.
Yeah, he's like, I was shooting this guy before, but I'm gonna back off.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
where's
not
this
gonna
going, popcorn?
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait and let him go. So Osborn escapes,
Oh.
and he runs back to his house or his apartment.
He's bleeding orange blood.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. That's just a demonstration of his
It's,
complete genetic recombination.
It's pumpkin puree.
Yeah, it's weird.
It just goes well with the green and the purple.
Yeah. just a way for him to bleep more and not have to worry about the comics code or whatever.
Right.
But so he's like, okay, I got it. I know what I'm going to do. If one injection of Goblin formula is good, then if I give myself like 2 injections, and he becomes...
I'll just take more of the same thing.
Wait,
Yes.
if I do 1 bump of cocaine, what if I take 5 bumps of cocaine?
I'll get like super high! And that's what happens, and he becomes more Goblin.
Oh, he does no D.
No, he gets bigger.
Damn, I was really hoping he would like
Gets more
just
horns and stuff.
medically like hurt
he just
himself.
dies.
Yeah.
That'd be
Well, not
amazing.
even dies, but like he puts himself in a coma or something. He's
Yeah.
like, all right.
Over.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can't
that
OD
does
on
not
it.
work.
No, he turns himself into a
Now
he
I'm
gets
twice the Goblin.
Yeah, he gets twice. Which of course we've established is not a thing. But he well, first he injects himself to heal from the attack, and then he's back to normal. And he's like, no more, and then he injects himself with more, and he gets so big he can't cover himself with that stupid sheet anymore.
Okay.
But he has like horns and like he has like doomsday bones and stuff.
Like he's getting
got
more
protrusions
monsters.
Yes.
everywhere.
So
yeah.
Pete shows up and he fights them, and they battle, and like they shatter the shark tank, and the sharks are everywhere. And
Yes.
Spider-Man's mask gets ripped, and Harry shows up, and he sees that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and he sees that his father's a monster.
Oh, jeez.
Wait, he knows it's his dad?
Oh yeah. Oh, when he shows up, he sees that because like.
Because
it's his house.
He
Like it
saw-
undoes the hypnosis, I guess.
I mean, like it's more like he there's some part of him far in the back that remembers that he's a Goblin Man.
okay.
But yeah. So also the Goblin says to Harry the trigger word cellar door, which makes him like fall asleep.
Oh.
And then he wakes back up, and Spider-Man and Goblin are grappling, and he's just like, "What's happening?" And that's when Shield shows up, and they open fire on the Goblin. And as Spider-Man and as the Goblin is choking out Spider-Man, Harry picks up a piece of shattered fish tank and stabs his father through the back.
Oh.
And the Goblin reverts back into Norman Osborn and seemingly dies.
Oh.
So this is like when Peter got out of the way and the
Oh,
glider
the Goblin
stabbed
glider,
him.
yeah.
He's
Only
gonna get
Harry
stabbed
did
by
Only
it.
Harry does it.
And it's
more
not like
poetic.
Harry is blaming Spider-Man.
No,
Yeah.
and nor does
He
Harry
knows.
like become like a paintball bad guy and like fight him in a stupid alley. Nor is there like an engagement ring scene where he has to fucking catch it.
Right.
There's no bullshit. Harry's just like at some point or another, Harry plays heavily into the Spider-Man story. But for now, Shield shows up. Harry faints again. Shield is like, we gotta take Harry with us because his father has like we know about like the garbage hypnotherapy that his dad was doing, and we're gonna try and undo all that, and we got a lot of work to do. But trust us, I'm sorry your friend came back in your life after disappearing, but he's gonna have to leave again. Oh, and you can't tell anybody.
Yeah. I promise he won't come back as like another Goblin guy.
Exactly.
We're gonna fix him.
But they don't, and he does become a Goblin guy. But that's a story for another time. So Goblin is taken away and seemingly dead. He's off the table. So all that stress is now gone. Except Mary Jane was just almost killed by this Goblin monster, and he tries to talk to her about
And
it.
Spider-Man saved her.
Yes, and he saved her, but like it's putting some real stress on their relationship.
Does she know he's Spider-Man?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, he told
Or
her.
they
In, like,
told her in
he told her in
one.
like volume 1.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. They
it's
he
the
fights.
epic
Yeah, he fights the
battle
Green
with
Goblin,
Goblin.
and then the Goblin's son kills him.
Is Mysterio his therapist?
No.
Damn
no,
it.
it's Miles Warren. It's the Jackal is his therapist.
You said that before.
Mysterio's a whole different ball of wax, which is really weird.
I was really hoping it would be, because then like the hypnosis would make sense.
Yeah, no. Mysterio's a thing, but we won't get into it here.
This is volume 5?
Volume 5, Public Scrutiny. This is where Spider-Man has been on TV. He succeeded. He beat Doc Ock in public, and
Yeah,
he also
and pantsed him.
Yeah, and
He called
pantsed
him a nerd.
and he also made fun of Steve Irwin joke named The Craven the Hunter. And in fact, his show got canceled as a result. So he never got that coveted.
Does he come back and he's like, you got my show canceled, I'll kill you. Of course.
Yes.
And then the tarantula stabs him, or thucks him through the heart, just like Steve Irwin.
There's no tarantula, thankfully, in this until the Clone Saga. Peter is just trying to get back to normal, and like the Rhino is kicking a ruckus up in the city.
It's a giant robot suit.
It is the cool.
That's
mech suit.
cool.
Yeah. Mary Jane sees it on TV, and she's like, Peter, did you see on TV? There's a Rhino guy kicking ass. You gotta go. And Peter's like, okay. And then she's like, she talks to TV. She's like, my boyfriend's gonna kick your butt. And you're like, okay, she's really into being Spider-Man's girlfriend. That will change at the end of this volume. So Spider-Man, the whole story in that first part is Spider-Man's trying to go to fight Rhino, but Peter Parker's life keeps getting in the way. Like, there's a parent-teacher conference that has to happen right now, and he has to go to it, and then he manages to worm his way out of that, and he bumps into the middle of, like, a football practice, and he steals their ball, and it's stupid. And then he runs into Gwen Stacy, who's sleeping in garbage. She's, like, in a dumpster being really melodramatic, and she's like, oh. And he's like,
okay.
and
Not like something happened.
No. Well, something happened in her life, and she's sad, she's hiding in garbage.
No one put her in the garbage.
No.
Okay.
No. And then he tells Mary Jane, like, Gwen's in the garbage. You gotta go talk to her. I can't deal with her. I gotta go be Spider-Man.
Mary Jane's like, Gwen is garbage.
Yeah.
She belongs there.
She's like, she's such a drama queen.
Why do you care so much about what happens to Gwen?
Yeah. So Spider-Man goes, and when he gets there, Iron Man beat the Rhino, and then he leaves.
Oh.
And Spider-Man's like, damn it.
So he should be happy, like, thank God, I don't have to fucking
he is kind of like
everyone.
that, but then a passerby's like, yo, Spider-Man, where the hell were you 10 minutes ago? And he's like, oh, man. Are you freaking kidding me? So he
just
leaves.
webs his mouth shut.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. So then we meet up with Ben Urich, Spider-Man's like friend. No, he's a ace reporter for the Daily Bugle.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man really, really likes him and really respects him because
And he was doing the Kingpin stuff.
Urich's the one who wrote the piece that took down Kingpin, and Spider-Man's the one who gave him that information. So Urich is flirting with the bank teller, and then Spider-Man shows up and robs the bank. And you're like, what's happening? Oh no!
Spider-Man, you're supposed to be a good guy.
Yeah, and of course there's footage of it, and J. Jonah Jameson is like, you were there and you saw Spider-Man and you can attest to that. And Ben's like, yeah, and he's like, this is the best. And he's like, ooh, and he sees Peter. He's like, when you first showed up, you had pictures of Spider-Man, right? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, we're gonna run one of them, and it's gonna say Spider-Man, like hero or menace, like, and that's their first like slander piece for Spider-Man.
Yay.
And Urich's like, okay. But Jonah, here's the thing. I don't think it was Spider-Man. And Jonah's like, dude in a Spider-Man costume robs a bank and he's got powers, right? Fuck you, it's Spider-Man. Don't push me on this.
Here's the thing. I don't have the answers. You don't have the answers. I'm just asking the questions.
Exactly. So they run the article.
Yeah.
Much to Urich's dismay and Spider-Man's as well.
Right.
And now Spider-Man is labeled a criminal and he's like public enemy number one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Meanwhile, Gwen's parents do divorce. Mm-hmm. And Gwen is back at the Parker house. And Captain Stacy's there, and they've been there for a while, and he's just been back and forth with Aunt May.
He's like, where have you been, Peter?
Yeah, and so Peter and Mary Jane are hanging out in the basement, and she has a meltdown about Gwen.
Oh, boy.
And he's like, well, that was fun.
Meanwhile, he's washing his Spider-Man uniform just in like a basin.
Well, yeah, because
down
he can't use the main washing machine. Aunt May might find it there. So yeah.
Yep.
So
you put it in a bag and you take it to the laundromat.
I know. So then,
do they have a fight? Because he's like, "How's Gwen?" And she's like, "Why are you so interested in
it's
how
more
Gwen
like
is?"
there's a girl my age that likes you that's sleeping upstairs. She's sleeping in your house right now. Like, did you tell her she's Spider? Did you tell her you were Spider-Man? And he's like, what? No. And she's like, oh, and then she leaves. And he's like, cool. This is my life now.
Oh, great.
So so then they get reports that Spider-Man is robbing some bank. So Spider-Man shows up, like real Spider-Man. He's like, okay, fuck this.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, guys, I'm outside, not robbing the bank. And the cops shoot him. And they wind up shooting him through the arm.
Oh, shit.
And then they try to arrest him, and he barely escapes. And then they get to the point where they're actually able to cuff him.
Oh.
And then he jumps out of there.
Right.
And he winds up like falling asleep.
And he breaks the cuffs too.
Yeah, he breaks the cuffs.
Cool.
Like,
Nice.
but they shot him through the shoulders, like really fucks up his shoulder.
hurts, yeah.
So he throws himself into a dumpster. And then he calls Mary Jane.
He wakes up. He's like, this was actually very comfortable.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah, Gwen did. So he calls Mary Jane, who's writing in her journal about the bridge incident and how she has nightmares every night and how she's like completely traumatized by this experience. And there's nobody she can talk to because otherwise she'll ruin her boyfriend's secret and everything. And then she gets a call from...
Wait. She can't tell anybody about Goblin dropping her?
She can't tell anybody about like everything because
Yeah,
otherwise
but she-
she'll... Well, like, yeah, my boyfriend is... Like, how'd she get involved?
She can't talk about the... Well, yeah, like, why did the Green... Do you have any idea why the Green Goblin would target you?
That's the thing. She didn't tell anybody about the Goblin attack either.
Oh, that was all under
the rug. Like,
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so she has to deal with this all by herself. So she gets a call from Aunt May, like, where's Peter? And she's like, oh, he's in the bathroom. We forgot what time it was. Then she gets a call from Peter, and Peter's like, you got to come get me. So she takes a cab to this, like, shitty area and, like, finds her dying boyfriend in the garbage. And he's like, I don't know what to do. So they check him into an emergency clinic at the local hospital.
Okay.
like under like anonymous P. Hancock or whatever,
Right.
like trying to hide him,
Yeah.
and she has to pretend that she wasn't with him.
Right.
So she just waits in the hospital like she's waiting for somebody else. Peter gets patched up, and when he comes to, the cops are there.
Right, of course, because when he gets shot...
They call the cops.
Yeah.
And so he...
Not only that, but like, there's something really wrong with your blood.
And, not only that, but like...
No, like, we shot Spider-Man.
In that shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, so Spider-Man just barely manages to escape before the cops show up. And he and Mary Jane run away from the cops. She's like, that was awesome! We totally, like, ran away from the police.
Yeah, we totally
It's like, yeah,
worked
that's
it.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm
we
still
pulled it
a lot
off.
of pain.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah, no, she's like, can you swing us home? He's like, okay, I have a bullet hole through my shoulder, and I'm on, like, 18 different painkillers. So we're going to have to
Probably
take a cab.
don't want me to be swinging around.
No. So
Even if I could.
I'm gonna splat us into a wall.
Yeah. So he sneaks back in to the house.
Now he has to pretend that he's not shot through the shoulder.
Yes.
Oh my god.
It's life is hard.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is attacking an armored car.
Okay.
And Captain Stacy is involved. Like he
He's
responds.
there. Yeah.
Right.
And this time, like this Spider-Man recognizes that like the other Spider-Man, like the real Spider-Man, wears like a backpack sometimes.
Okay.
So he's wearing a backpack as well. But he's
Okay.
keeping like shit for his crimes in there. And while
This is really weird.
what
This
guy
person's attention to detail with Spider-Man,
it is really weird.
and ability to like replicate his powers.
Yes.
And web
Are they
everywhere.
replicating his power? So he is using webs?
He's using webs, he's
Okay.
using adhesion, and he's using like kind of seemingly super strength.
Huh.
And it's like, what's going on here? It's really weird. And it's also an interesting mystery for the Ultimate Spider-Man series.
Well, considering he made the web shooter.
Yeah, and like Peter's dad invented the web fluid, and then Peter perfected it.
Yeah.
I don't know how he manages to get this formula or how he manages to replicate it, but we never get that answer. So Peter's trying to like learn about chlorophyll or some bullshit, and he is passing out. And then the teacher's like, "Do you want to go to the nurse?" And he's like, "Yeah, that would be amazing." So he leaves to go to the nurse, and he checks his locker, and on the locker is a little anonymous note that says, "Black van parking lot. I'll take care of the shoulder."
Oh.
So he goes in the back parking lot. He gets in this black van, and Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, is there.
Oh.
And she's like, "Hey, I'm going to patch up your shoulder." And she's a real pain in the ass.
Wait, what?
Like, oh, you had to go and get yourself shot, huh?
She's like,
You're clearly not cut out
You're
for
not good at
this.
this.
Yep.
Like, she is such an ultimate
Oh, okay.
in this universe.
Yeah.
Like, she is so like, teenage superhero wearing long johns.
Well, don't worry, because she gets eaten by
But the
fucking
blob.
later.
Yeah. So, joke's on you, Janet. Anyway, she patches the shoulder using, like, shield super science and whatnot. And he's talking about how, like, hey, do you, like, know anything about my friend Harry and, like, about the Goblin shit? She goes, no offense, but that's kind of, like, below my pay grade. And he's like, cool, thanks for chatting with me. So then they leave.
Hey,
And
thanks for patching on my shoulder. Feels a lot better. I can do this.
so Pete, Mary Jane, and Gwen go back to Pete's house.
Wait.
From where?
So
From school. It's
Oh,
over. School
they're
ends.
walking
Peter's walking with Mary Jane and Gwen.
Yeah.
And
He's
Mary
like,
Jane is not
This
just
is not
fuming.
too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Gwen over here.
We got Mary Jane on the other side.
We're going back to
Alright.
my place.
Yeah. So they get there.
Two ladies kiss and make up.
I like creepy, just desperate Peter.
Hey, I'm still high on painkillers. This works for me.
This is amazing.
I don't even know what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm not just a total creep. So they get to the house, and outside of Aunt May's house are cop cars. And he's like, "Oh no, Uncle Ben!" So he runs in there, and when he gets there, they're for Gwen
Oh.
because Captain Stacy was killed by the fake Spider-Man.
No!
Fuck. I thought you said that he and Aunt May were gonna have like a relationship.
Yeah, sure looked like that. So
You son of a bitch.
but it's like Aunt May, she loses her husband.
Yeah.
Maybe I can move on. Nope. Dude gets killed by a fake Spider-Man. So anyway, fake Spider-Man, the story is that fake Spider-Man tries to run away from the cops. They shoot his backpack, which has like a power source in it that catches fire.
Oh.
And so he throws it away, and it's gonna land by this kid. So Captain Stacy throws the kid out of the way, catches the backpack instead, and then fucking explodes.
Oh.
So Spider-Man killed Captain Stacy,
Wow.
which is a little bit of a crack mirror version of the original version. Because in the old comics, Spider-Man and Doc Ock are fighting on a rooftop, and Doc Ock's arms go wild and hit a like brick facade, which falls, and it's going to fall on a kid, and Captain Stacy pushes the kid out of the way and gets crushed.
Okay.
So, Gwen, Pete, and MJ talk about how, like, it can't be real Spider-Man, it has to be a fake, and she's like, I don't want to fucking hear it.
Yeah. She's like, looked like him to me.
Yeah, like, look, do you know him or something? Like, come on. Like,
why would
shut
you
the fuck
defend him?
Well,
Which is a good point.
It is a really good
if
point.
they don't want
to keep that secret. Yeah, they don't want to
ruin
ruin it.
Asking questions.
They have to be like, I guess
yeah,
it's plausible.
Spider-Man.
So, fake Spider-Man is robbing another bank.
Jesus.
And the cops have a standoff against him because, like, they chased him, basically.
Yeah.
And now he's killed a cop.
And he's killed a cop. So the cops are, like, fucking all
They
over
will
it.
eat him alive.
Well, these aren't the Chicago police. But yes, it's true. So the Spider-Man just fucking hauls ass to that place, crashes through the window in front of the cops, like,
Wait.
Remember how I said before I wasn't robbing the bank?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
they shoot him in his other shoulder.
no, thankfully they did not.
There's two of them. Shoot them both.
So Spider-Man just beats the shit out of this guy.
Okay.
And
how
he's
do you tell who's who in the fight?
One of them is like sticking to walls and being more aggressive. The other one has a taser against the throat of a fucking like hostage.
Yeah. Okay.
So Spider-Man beats the shit out of this fucking dude, rips off his mask. He's like, "Who are you?" And he goes, "I'm just some guy." He's just some fucking guy. And the big mystery of like Ultimate Spider-Man for a while was, who is just some guy?
Right.
We never know.
What?
Just some guy is just some guy.
Never addressed.
Never explained. There's just this dude who he's like, I thought it'd be cool. Like, I thought it'd be cool. I wanted to do all these things, and I figured like nobody knows who Spider-Man is, so like I'll be him and accomplish these things.
You did it how?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. Moving on. So
well, you see my power backpack.
yeah, he had a backpack filled
where
with
did you
power
get
or
it?
something. I don't know.
What does that have to do with web fluid?
Right? I don't know.
How are you strong?
I don't know. And he's not really that strong. I think he simulated strength by like doing the other things. You know, because he didn't really he didn't lift a car or anything.
No.
He didn't like cling to walls and shit.
He did cling
He
to
did
walls,
cling to
but
walls.
who knows how he was able
Maybe
to
he had
accomplish
a
that.
I'm just an excellent
glove.
gymnast.
Yeah, they've done that story, and that's when I was like, oh shit, new Mysterio, because Mysterio has impersonated Spider-Man, or maybe it's Chameleon. Chameleon has also impersonated Spider-Man. It's neither. It's just some guy. So, and then Spider-Man beats the shit out of him, fucking webs him up, and puts a little sign on him from the real Spider-Man. And I love it because the guy's like, just like, please, just take me to jail. Don't let Spider-Man kill me. Aunt May tries to call Gwen's mother to pick her up. And she ain't having it. Gwen's mother is like, we don't get to hear or see Gwen's mom. But when she tells Gwen's mom that Captain Stacy has been murdered, she says, I hope that's the grief talking, because that's just about the worst thing I've ever heard a human being say. And then she's like, your daughter needs her mother right now. And you get the impression she basically says, why don't you just keep her?
Wow.
And so we never see Gwen's mother, and we never see her again.
But she sucks.
Basically, she was like annoyed she had a kid, and it's really like inconvenient for her life. And so she was just like, she just fucked off.
And that's that's why the divorce happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She sucks.
Yeah, she sucks. And it really just came to a head.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So then Pete comes home. Gwen is Pete and Aunt May talk about what to do about Gwen, and then they go to visit, and then they go upstairs to talk to Gwen, and they're like, "Listen."
I'm amazed she's still there.
Yeah, and they're like, "Listen, like, do you have any family?" And she's like, "I have an aunt in like Cincinnati or whatever, but like, she's my mom's sister, and she's like not really a good person." And Aunt May's like, "Well, Peter and I were talking, and like, we think you should stay here, and like live with us." And Gwen's like, "Holy shit! Like that's unbelievable."
Mary Jane's outside the window.
Oh yeah, just like no. We meet up. We get that closure immediately. It's the end of of Volume 5, where he is talking to Mary Jane on the bleachers outside at school, and he basically gives her like the rundown of what happened with just some guy and with Gwen. And Mary Jane's like, "Listen, we need to talk." And the conversation is basically like, as it turns out, being Spider-Man's girlfriend isn't all it's cracked up to be. And like, I don't know if you know this, but like, my dad cheats on my mom all the time, so like I know how to like spot a cheater, and that's who you are. And like also, I have like waking nightmares from my experience falling off the bridge, and it's all your fault. And like, and he's like, you didn't tell me any of this. And she's like, you never asked, because your whole life is all about being Spider-Man. And he's like, my uncle died 2 fucking months ago. Like, he doesn't say that, but like, I've been through kind of a lot. I didn't really, but like, they're both kind of wrong.
Yeah.
But she's like, I have a lot of fucking baggage, as it turns out. Right. And you never like bothered to learn about any of it. And now there's this beautiful girl who's living with you, and she's in love with you.
Right.
And
I just have to deal with the fact that she's going to be at your house all the time.
And I know that you are going to be with her.
That temptation will just be too much.
Yes, I know you're going to cheat on her because, like, my father cheats on my mother, and he has to, like, go across town to do that. So,
I mean, if there was someone living in the basement, he'd just do it all the time.
Right? Yeah. So he's like, what? So that's it? We're done? She's like, yeah. And then she walks away. And so, for me, this is Spider-Man's lowest point in the series.
Wow. That sucks.
Yeah, it's a real, like, emotional downer. And I say end the episode that way, but, like, that's how it ends. And it's, like, because then the next volume is Venom. And it's like, oh, no. But don't worry, the relationship between Peter and Mary Jane, like I said, has its ups and downs. It's the first significant down.
Well, hopefully this whole thing with Venom coming in...
The Venom thing is...
Mary Jane is not involved with that for a while.
No, it's actually kind of neat to, like, see her taken off the table and out of the story. You then get to experience the fun of being dumped in high school. Because he gets to, like, watch her and not know what she's up to or what she's thinking. And see her, like, moving on and, like, do her own thing in life. And he gets to never know about that. And just resent her and be mad and upset for no reason. And then know that he shouldn't feel that way.
Right.
But he does, and damn it. And what am I going to do about that?
And then he puts on a black suit because he's like, I'm Moody Spider-Man.
Well, in point of fact, because this is his lowest moment, it makes sense that the next volume would be Venom because he does get the black suit. And it is kind of like illustrative of his feelings. But the black suit also doesn't, like, make him stupid and emo. So we have that to look forward to. But yeah, I love this series. I love this volume. It's fun. It's kind of real, and if not real, it's very emotional and visceral. So there you have it. Ultimate Spider-Man volumes 4 and 5. We did it. Legacy and public scrutiny. We established the status quo. Like, we got to have an epic Goblin story, and we also got to establish Peter Parker as public enemy number 1. Because, like, while we did get to defeat the imposter Spider-Man, some folk don't.
Comes at a cost.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, but like now the image is kind of tarnished.
Exactly.
You were caught up in it somehow.
Spider-Man is a cop killer.
And not only that, but
one of them. And you say it wasn't you. You say it was this guy.
Oh, you defeated him.
For all I know, you're both bad.
Yeah.
Or for all I know,
no more dead cops.
Things are worse than ever for Spider-Man.
Okay, why do we let these hearings, open to the public?
The real question is, why do we hire these extras? Why not dub over them? We never see them talk. What's the matter with you, Chris Nolan? Things are worse than ever. What's Kevin from The Office doing?
Like, I'm retarded?
Yup, that's exactly what he sounds like. No more dead cops. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I'll put a link in the description box below this video so you can pick up at least Volume 4, Legacy, Spider-Man vs. the Green Goblin. If you don't want to go into the emotional teenage melodrama that is the rest of Volume 5. But it's cool. And the Peter-Gwen Stacy relationship works out pretty... not relationship, but like their interaction and their development is cool because she like becomes his like sister, basically. Oh. And that's really cool until she dies.
I was going to say, until she fucking dies, right?
Until she dies.
Yep.
See you next week.